Hi everybody, this is Mr. RB. I'm going to show you how to use one-point perspective to create a three-dimensional looking letter S. To get started, I need to create a horizon line. I'm placing mine close to the top of my page today. My horizon line will be horizontal, going from side to side. I need to put a vanishing point on it, and for today, I'm going to put mine all the way to the left, over there. We'll be using that in a few moments. The horizon line now divides my page between things up in the sky and things down on the ground. Anything above this line, which is the horizon line, and also our eye level, anything above it is above our eye level, so we would tend to see the bottom of it. Anything below it is on the ground, and we would tend to see the top of it. We're going to put our letter S on the ground. So we will be seeing the top of it, or the roof of the S, as we're looking down on it. First, I'm going to draw a letter S. To get a bubble letter S for my beginning, I'm going to start over here like a regular S. I'm going to curve around and in. Only when I go for the second curve, where it curves back, I'm just going to make a small one. See how the top is much bigger than the bottom? Now I'm going to add a straight line coming down from each side. And now I'm going to add a small curve on the top and a big curve on the bottom. If I don't like anything about it, I can change it now. Like I'm thinking that, oh, I wish this was further over. All right, I'm going to move that over there and try that. The joy of pencils and erasers. I can change things so easily. I'm just using a regular piece of computer printout paper, by the way. I find all sorts of papers can be interesting, but sometimes I just like a basic white paper to draw on. It works very well. There. I like that S a little better. I'm ready to make it look three-dimensional, and to do that I'll be using my vanishing point. I'm going to place my pencil on the vanishing point, my ruler on my pencil, and I'm going to pivot until I touch that corner of the S. I'm going to draw a line that goes up to the vanishing point, and then I'm going to go and pivot again until I touch the other corner of that sort of tail of the S, right over here. Well, if I wanted my S to be an enormous S that goes all the way back to the horizon as far as you can see, well, that would be pretty set. I'd be ready to move on to the other lines. I don't want that today. I'm going to cut it off short. I only want it to be about a ½ inch deep. So I'm going to place my ruler on that back side of the S, and then slowly just slide it over towards the vanishing point, maybe about ½ inch, I think. I want this line to be parallel with that first line. I will keep these lines here, and I'm going to get rid of all the rest of these converging lines. Notice how these lines I'm erasing actually went together, and eventually they would converge right on that vanishing point. That's an important thing. That's part of what makes the perspective illusion work. Well, I need to get all these curves, and I don't have a lot of angles left to get the corners for. So this is what I'm going to do. This is my trick that I use, and I hope it helps you as well. The line I drew was about, this was maybe 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to go put my ruler on the pencil on the vanishing point, ruler on the pencil, and then I'm going to go along and make a series of 3/4 inch long lines starting at the S and heading towards the vanishing point. Notice the lines I'm drawing right now are not parallel with each other. They converge. They would all meet at the vanishing point, and that is very significant. I'm just going around that inner curve. Eventually, I run out of space and I will not be able to get a full 1/4 inch in there. 3/4 of an inch in this case. Yep, right around there. Okay. I'm going to make that line here. Now I'm going to use the ends of these as if they were dots in a connect the dot. There I go. I need to do the rest of this. Let's keep going. Takes a little bit of extra work, but it comes out nicely and reliably, and I like that. So that's about the first point. You know, I can't go much beyond that. I'm not touching the S. So once I touch the S, that's where I make my first line. About 3/4 of an inch. And I keep working my way around. It's a pretty steep curve at the first. Other parts will stay more even, but you will notice that your ruler or your straight edge changes position. Again, the lines that I'm drawing, if we continued them, every single one of these would start in a different place but end on that same vanishing point. As a result, the distance between each of them as they go closer to the vanishing point becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. And that's how things look in the real world. It seems like as things get farther away from us, they get smaller. You know, the car, as it drives down the street, it seems like it gets smaller. We know that it doesn't really get smaller, it's just appearances. But we're mimicking that phenomena to create our illusion. So there, I just used my ruler and I measured 3/4 of an inch. Doesn't matter what the measurement is as long as you use it consistently. You don't even have to know what it is. You could mark it out on a piece of cardboard, and as long as it's consistent, it'll work. Well, I now want to connect the ends of each of these as if they were a connect the dot. Oops. And that curves down sharply. I'm going to check because I think that we're going to have a little something showing under here. Because I have that, see that point that I come down to? How you draw your S and exactly where you place it can change what you need to do. So, yeah, there's a, 3/4 comes just to there. Yeah, we do have a little showing, but not enough to, we're just going to have to draw that in. We're ready to start shading. I'm going to figure that my sun is up here on the upper right, shining down on my S. Because it's shining down here, this part will be bright and white. This part will get a little dimmer. I'm going to just I'm going to use the side of my pencil. I like how the side of my pencil not only works faster, and lets me, which is very comfortable for my impatience, but also it's easier to smudge together later on and hide the marks, and it's easier to erase so that I can shape the shadow or change the tone to make it lighter when I need to. So I have a little tone there. I'm going to smear it together with my finger. I want to get some onto the face of the S. Remember that original bubble letter? The reason is I want this part to seem bright white, and I can't make it brighter than the paper was, so I need to make the things around it dimmer. So I'm just smearing some of that graphite, some of that pencil right around there. I'm going to make this a little darker now because it's curving further away from the sun, and the less sunlight gets on it, the less bounces off and makes it seem bright, and the more it seems like deep and shadowy. I will say that having some darker values helps your drawing a lot. It will add not only drama, but it will make it easier to see. And because the paper is as bright and white as we can get, the only way to make it seem like there's light in your drawings is by creating some grays around them. And the darker those grays become, and even into black, the brighter the whites will seem through contrast. So if you want a really lively, energetic, interesting drawing, chances are you need some deep darks and some bright whites, and possibly some colors in between, some values of medium light. Right, I'm just going to add a little dark tone on this tail over here. And I'm going to figure that this is going to be somewhat dark over here because it's hidden from the sun. I'm trying to curve my marks. They shouldn't show too much, but to the extent that they do, curved marks describe curved shapes, and I want to keep to curved marks on my curving S. Maybe there's a little sunlight getting in there. And finally, I'm pretty sure this would be pretty dark under here. It'd be like under the roof, like on a summer day. If you're in a garage, you can look up at the roof of the garage and it'll still look pretty dark. Even if, especially if the shadow, the light outside is really strong. In the real world, strong lights make for darker seeming shadows. In drawing world, darker shadows will make for brighter seeming light. The exception would be if you're drawing on darker paper using, say, a light colored pencil or crayon. In both cases, or in all those cases, it's the contrast that helps us appreciate each part of that range of value. And together, it all comes out looking pretty spiffy. We are not covering how to use perspective to calculate or to describe the length and direction of shadow, but I am going to just add a little bit of shadow in here. I'm using the side of my pencil just to give the feeling that the S is casting a shadow on the ground, and that will give an extra bit of believability to your illusion, even without a very fancy shadow. I'm just making sort of an oval shape around it, like a little pool of shadow. That, and again, easy to trim the edges of that if I need to, whenever I need to, because I use the side of my pencil, and then I just smeared it with my finger. There you go, one three-dimensional S, ready to go. I hope you had fun with this, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.